Let's officially get moving. My name is Erica Olson. On behalf of RTC and City of Reno, I will be your facilitator and moderator today. Dale, I'll let you kick us off.
Great, thank you, Erica. And good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Dale Keller, Engineering Manager with the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County. I want to thank you for your time tonight to hear about the proposed Steamboat Parkway improvements between Damonte Ranch Parkway and Veterans Parkway. We, along with our partners at the City of Reno, are excited to move forward this much needed project to address the operational and capacity deficiencies and improve safety and mobility for all modes of transportation. The Steamboat Parkway Improvement Project is based out of and a direct result from the 2020 South Meadows Multimodal Transportation Study. It started in 2019. This study, led by the RTC and partnered with the City of Reno, identified and prioritized transportation needs and improvements specifically for the South Meadows and Damonte Ranch area. More than 1,000 community members participated in the study, and we received nearly 3,000 comments. The two top categories we received feedback and requested from the community for the RTC to address was one, to improve traffic congestion, and two, to increase safety. Tonight, you'll hear from our presentation from our project manager, Andrew Jankura, who will demonstrate how this project will increase roadway capacity and improve safety. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge our elected leader from Ward 2, Councilwoman Naomi Durr. In a moment, Councilwoman Durr will also provide a few opening remarks. Once again, thank you for your participation. In 2 short years, we've gauged the South Meadows and the Damonte Ranch area and the community, and the RTC has delivered 5 transportation improvement projects, which are complete, and we have another 12 projects currently under design for the area. Now, as a South Reno resident who travels through this corridor, I look forward to the construction and using the Steamboat Parkway improvements. Now I'll turn it back over to Erica.
Awesome. Dale, thanks so much. Councilmember Dewar, I'll pass it right to you because I know you've got some opening remarks, and then I'll set the stage for the rest of the meeting. Go right ahead.
Sure, you bet. Dale, first of all, thank you and Andrew so much. Dale and Andrew came to our Neighborhood Advisory Board just within the last month and presented some incredible information. And it really seemed appropriate to broaden the audience that would hear about this work that they are about to begin. Now they're at, as I understand, virtually a 90% design. It means that there's still time to make some final changes before the road is completed. And it's not just a road, but it's really 3 roads, as Dale mentioned. It's Steamboat Parkway, it's Damonte Ranch Parkway, and Veterans Parkway, and where they all come together is a tremendous shopping area. We have a fire station, and it's the main way in and out of much of South Reno. So I just want to thank both of you gentlemen from RTC for being willing to put on this special workshop at our request. And I want to hand it right over to Erica to lay out the format for tonight's presentation. And there's already 60 people on board. I think 100 some have signed up, so I'm sure people will be joining as we go. And I'm looking forward to hearing the answers to the questions. So thank you again.
Awesome. Super. Okay, so let's just jump right on in. As we just heard from Councilmember Dewar and from Dale, really today's conversation is about providing information on the final design. If you did just attend the Virginia Range Horses, that's a little bit in a different mode of input. And this is, as you heard Dale say, there's a lot of input provided that went into this design in 2019 and 2020. But we are here also to hear what's on your mind, hear what's on everybody's mind, take clarifying questions specific to the Steamboat Parkway project. So again, Andrew has the coolest presentation. It's super informative. So I look forward to seeing all that. I know you will as well. That's the scope of our conversation. If there are questions that come up about horses that you have, feel free to put them in the Q&A and we'll add them to the horses Q&A that will be published afterwards. And we're going to talk about transportation specifically in this section. So we're doing our opening right now. Andrew has about 20 minutes of a presentation, and then we're going to jump into Q&A. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Let's talk about how you can be part of the conversation. So there are probably two icons at the bottom of your Zoom screen. One of them is you can raise your hand. So if you raise your hand, that means you'd like us to bring you into the meeting to ask a live question. So when you do that, you'll go in queue and we'll call you in order. So that's one way to participate. The next way to participate is on the icon that says Q&A. So you can type in your question and you can see everybody else's questions that have been asked as well. And you can upvote someone else's question, and I will be taking those that are the most upvoted because those are the questions that people want answered the most. So pretty cool interface. So I really would encourage you to use that. So again, just a little more slowly, two ways. Raise your hand if you want to jump in live, type in the Q&A box if you'd like to ask a question. I will be bringing those questions in as we move through, but after Andrew's presentation. Just a couple quick things. Be concise if you wouldn't mind. We want to hear from as many people as possible. We're here for about an hour. Be considerate and respectful of everybody. It's about the issues, not the individuals. We're having really awesome community meetings right now, so I know we're all on board with that. And we're here to listen and be heard. So please, we're here to hear all perspectives and certainly reduce any misunderstandings. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Andrew, who will be walking through the presentation and just set the stage for how this project is looking and how it's shaping up. And with that, Andrew, you should have screen share ability.
Thank you very much, Erica. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay, well, thank you everyone for taking their time out of this evening to spend time to learn on the Steamboat Parkway Improvement Project. My name is Andrew Chinkura. I'm the project manager for this project, and I look forward to be working with you all and showing you some more details about this project as we move forward. So, project background. So the reason why we're working on this project is obviously the South Meadows community has continued to see growth and will continue to do so in the near future. As Dale mentioned, that this was also part of the South Meadows multimodal transportation study and has been identified as a high priority project. There will be 4 areas of focus that we'll be looking at during this project. So hopefully the goal with this project is to improve safety and increase travel times. And with all that, we'll look forward to improve the traffic signal timing once this project is all finished. Okay, so project scope. So there's 4 areas of focus that we're going to look into. So the first area we're going to look into is to widen the intersection and improve traffic operations at the intersection of Steamboat and Steamboat Parkway and Veterans Parkway. Area 2, we're going to widen Steamboat Parkway from the current 4 lanes to 6 lanes. You can see in the triangle, rectangle right here. Area 3, we're going to look into reconfiguring the southbound to eastbound lanes on the Demonte Ranch and Steamboat Parkway. And we're going to look at Area 4, which will be removing the flashing yellow lefts at Marketplace and Steamboat. Okay, so here's an overview of the 4 areas that we're going to look into improving along this project. So spend a moment here so you can take a quick look at it. Okay, let's move on to Area 1 and look at the highlights. So Area 1 again, we'll be looking at the intersection of Steamboat and Veterans Parkway. Let's take a closer look at what we're going to be doing at this intersection. So going eastbound, we're going to add an additional through lane. So the lane configuration is going to look something like this. Going westbound, we're going to add an additional westbound to northbound turn lane. So something like this. Going northbound, we're going to add an additional left turn and right turn lane. So something like this. And finally, for the southbound, we're going to add an additional left turn lane. So it will look something like this. Okay. So here's an image of what it is currently out there right now. And this is what's going to look like after the project is completed. Okay, before I move on to area 2, there's been numerous questions regarding the northbound movement at Steamboat and Veterans Parkway about the lane alignment. So as of right now, the concern is the 2 lanes coming from the south side to go north. The left lane leads into this far left lane that merges over to the right and causes unnecessary congestion and slowdowns. So this project is going to address that issue. Conveniently, with the widening of the project and adding that left turn lane, the 2 northbound lanes will lead into the middle and right lanes. So that way we will not have that weaving or that lane drop off anymore. And we'll be strapping off the left lane so that way we won't be having this issue anymore.
And Andrew, I'm just going to
Yes.
ask a question while you're on where you are, I think, just taking this in flow. So Garth is asking, is the removal of the flashing yellow left turn arrows at whoop, it just went away. At Marketplace required due to the widening to 3 lanes?
Yes, that's due to federal guidelines. Since we're going from 2 lanes to 3 lanes in the westbound direction, the guidelines do require us to remove the flashing yellow arrows to go to just the normal green, yellow, and red arrows. We cannot have the flashing yellows left because of that configuration due to safety.
Okay. And everybody just keep the questions coming in. I'm just going to take the ones that are like really map specific as we go. And then the ones that are here, we'll take those towards at the end. So go for it, Andrew.
All right, let's go on to focus area of number 2. So area 2, we'll be looking at the widening between Marketplace and Veterans Parkway along Steamboat. Let's zoom in and take a closer look here. So the first focus we're going to do is obviously add an additional through lane in both directions. So now we're going to have 3 lanes. Then we're going to extend the east to north turn pocket. As you can see here, it's short right now, but we're going to add more space in turn bay. So that way we can have more cars stored there to make that left turn. And then finally, with the request of Fire Station 12, we will widen their driveway and median width so that way their fire trucks can get in and out of their station a lot more effectively to respond to emergency calls. And then lastly, adjust the emergency traffic signals at this intersection. Okay, so area 2, this is what it looks like currently. And this is what it will look like afterwards. Okay, let's move on to area number 3. So this will be the southbound to eastbound lane reconfiguration at the Monty Ranch Parkway and Steamboat Parkway. So currently, all drivers try to get into this far left lane to get into the left turn pockets to go east on Steamboat. So there's a lot of weaving, a lot of friction. So we're going to try to alleviate that on this project. How? We're going to go ahead and restripe this intersection. So now, with this configuration, the left lane will have to stay into the innermost lane to make a left turn. This will lead them into the far left lane. Then, if you're in the middle lane, you have an option to go into the middle left turn lane to go to the middle lane on Steamboat, or you can go into a shared through or left turn lane to go into the far right lane going eastbound on Steamboat. Okay, and then finally, we're going to have another lane that will lead into a southbound through movement to go south on the Monty Ranch Parkway if needed. All right, so this is what it looks like right now. And this is what it will look like after the project's completed. 3 left turn lanes and the shared left through. Hopefully they will provide better flow and less friction between drivers trying to fight into the left turn pockets. Okay, so we'll look into the landscape. This is the proposed landscape that we're, oh, sorry.
Can we just jump back for a sec on those turn lanes?
Yeah.
Are there markings in the turn lanes to indicate that micromodal can use the turn lanes as well?
We haven't looked into that, but we will see if we can look into doing something like that.
Right.
Okay. We still will preserve the bike lane going south. As you can see right here, this is still the bike lane, so that's what we have. But we'll look into that if we can accommodate that.
You know, Andrew, this is Naomi. I think
Uh-huh.
the reason I'm just looking, I don't ride bikes in this type of a congested area, but I can imagine if you're a bike rider and you want to turn left onto Steamboat, you would be pretty uncertain how to do that because otherwise you'd have to cross that go through lane.
Right.
So I'm not sure how that's supposed to happen.
So it looks like right now we have it so that you would have to cross the intersection and then go to the other side to get to the eastbound, because I think there's just going to be a lot of friction here, but it's something that we'll have to relook to see if we can include a bike lane to go east. Okay. So moving on to landscape. So for every tree we remove on this project for the widening, we will replace in kind. So this is a rendering of what it will look like. So here is RC Willie. This plot will roll north, so that way you can see the entirety of the project, what it'll look like. Here is Steamboat Parkway. Here's Veterans and Steamboat Parkway intersection. And then here's the new gas station that will be coming in. All right. Here's a more close-up view of the landscape. This is the south leg of Veterans and Steamboat Parkway. This is going north to make the left to go west. And then this is the north leg. This is the southbound lanes to go east on Steamboat. Okay. And then here's a landscape rendering of the intersection of Steamboat and Veterans. And then here is a landscape rendering of Steamboat Parkway between Marketplace and Veterans to the east over here. We'll be also adding lighting along Steamboat to meet city requirements. That way will help increase the safety and the illumination along this roadway during the nighttime. So here's a landscape lighting sample, what it will look like when the project is done. These luminaires, which is currently the ones that are existing out there, will be about 150 feet apart. So this is a sample of what it would look like. Okay. Moving on, let's look at the crash history of the corridor. So we collected crash data over a 5-year period between January 1st, 2015 and January 1st, 2020. And the data shows that there were a total of 70 crashes between the Money Ranch Parkway and Veterans Parkway along Steamboat. Most of it occurred during the daylight hours and clear conditions. And the study shows that the predominant type of crashes tend to be rear end crashes, angle crashes, and slight swiping crashes, followed by non-collision crashes, head-on crashes, and unknown crashes. And lastly, 2 motorcycles and a crash involving a bus. So what's mostly happening with those? So along the Steamboat corridor, 41 of the all crashes were angle crashes. And of that 41% of angle crashes, 92% of those crashes were the northbound Veterans to westbound Steamboat movement, which is that left turn. "31 of all the crashes were rear end crashes. 70% of that is in the eastbound direction on Steamboat Parkway. And lastly, 12% of all the crashes were swipe-cycling crashes that happened mostly in the eastbound direction, 56% of that. So hopefully with this project, we can reduce the number of these crashes that's been happening along this corridor. So what about the schedule of this project? So we anticipate the project design completion sometime in the fall of this year, with construction now beginning in spring of 2023, construction concluding in fall of 2023, and traffic signal timing and adjustment after the construction. And then, as we mentioned before, that the schedule is tentative and subject to change. With that, that concludes our presentation on the Steamboat project. I hope you guys have gotten valuable information on this, and we look forward to your comments and questions.
Andrew, thank you so much. Super informative. I think maybe could we pull up that summary slide that just has the overall view of the project? We've got some pretty specific questions that we'd like to probably have that visual in front of us. And while you're getting there, there were quite a few questions about timing. So you addressed those, but one question was, is this project fully funded as we sit here today?
This is Dale Keller. I can help answer that question. Yes, it is. It is fully funded and is slated, as Andrew said, for construction in spring of 2023. Okay,
awesome. And then I'm going to take some non-project specific things or map specific things for just a minute. So there are some questions related to considerations for the species, trees, bushes, grasses that are being planted for supporting birds and other wildlife. What's the approach to choices related to landscaping?
I can answer this one. Excuse me. We've been in coordination with the Vine Ranch HOA consultant to talk about what specific species of trees to select or replace along the Steamboat project. So we are taking that in consideration and make sure that we get the best available species that will accommodate for bird species, but not only that, live with the native soil that is in the area as well.
Okay. Okay. Couple other quick questions about that. Will trees include lawns with water as a priority? Lawns can feel kind of wasted. What's the approach to the use of lawn?
We will still try to maintain the lawns. The expectation is with the widening, the area of the lawns will be reduced with this project. So in terms of like the maintenance, go ahead.
Yeah, and to expand a little bit what Andrew is discussing is we're ensuring that the new City of Reno standards about providing that buffer between the sidewalk and the lawn is being installed. When there's areas that's too small to maintain, we're working closely with the HOA who maintains the landscape along this area to ensure what we're replacing back is what they're would like to maintain. So we're working closely both with City of Reno and the HOAs to ensure the landscaping is what they would like to see. Okay.
Again, I'm just going to take buckets of questions that are similar. Will this project eat up any public space that we have today? A public open space?
And maybe to help clarify, I believe maybe the question is related to the landscape buffers that we see. So as Andrew discussed in his presentation and went over that, any of the areas that we are impacting the landscape buffer and the trees, and we're replacing in kind. So we're working closely to ensure that what's out there today, the look and feel is preserved. And when the project is complete, we're going to enhance the area as we get through, especially around the intersection area of Steamboat and Veterans.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to take some of the uploaded questions here, and then I do know we have somebody that has their hand up. So give me a minute. We'll take 2 questions, and then we'll go to you if you have your hand up. So I'm going to read the comment that has a question. The improvements seem to be predominantly centered around safety of car operators. Will there be any improvements to ensure safety of bike riders and pedestrians in the area and other modes of transportation? Have lower speeding limits, wider sidewalks, Dale, you just mentioned that, or protected bike lanes been considered given the high speed and heavy traffic vehicle use in this area?
Andrew, you want to start off with that one?
Sure. We did look at, so we look at, we took consideration the bike lanes, and based on the right of way and the width of the bridge going across Steamboat Creek, we're gonna maintain the current bike lane that's out there, but then also widen the sidewalk as well. We did consider doing a like a cycle track or a multi-purpose use track, but the problem is since the project limits pretty much for this widening is between Marketplace and Veterans, we are concerned that if we put the multi-use path on one side, it will lead bicyclists or any other modes of transportation that people are using to an endpoint between Marketplace and Veterans. So at this time, we feel it's more safe for users of cyclists or other modes of transportation to use the infrastructure that we'll be putting in.
Maybe, I know that was Erica, there's maybe other points in that too to discuss, but I think we do recognize that the national trend is to provide more separation when feasible. And as Andrew alluded to, when we have that constrained geometrically over the Steamboat Bridge, we looked at different options, especially with the short segment we're working at. We felt this to perpetuate the existing bike lanes and make some pedestrian improvements as far as we can on that sidewalk was the best solution in the small segment of Steamboat. Also, maybe I can add one other thing on the South Meadows multimodal transportation study. There's a whole slew of projects that we're looking to help incorporate and move forward with to help promote different modes of transportation as well.
Dale, on this, over in, I want to say Double Diamond, the sidewalks tend to be away. There seems to be a separation between the road and the sidewalk. But down here in Damani Ranch, the sidewalks tend to be right on the road. When you're reconfiguring it, is it possible to move the sidewalks further back from the road?
Very good question, Councilwoman Durr. This is something as we consider as we look into what right-of-way we have along the corridor and how do we best utilize the public funds and public dollars to ensure what rights we need to receive from the property owners. That's something we can continue to look into, investigate as we look in and start approaching what our right-of-way needs are along the corridor. So we can look.
But what about just right here with this project? Will they just stay right on the road or will they be pushed back?
With the current right-of-way constraints we have, we are proposing the sidewalk be adjacent to that bike lane.
Okay. Thanks.
Let's stay in this topic. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Erica.
Just let's stay in this topic for one more question. There's a paved pathway running east-west behind the fire station between extended Damani Ranch Parkway and southbound veterans along the lake. If that could be expanded, it would be a great way for bicycles to bypass all of these lanes. Chances of that being included.
That's a very interesting thing to be considered, and that's why we love having these type of meetings. I think we can look into that option. I believe it's running behind the current, I think there's a multifamily project under construction right now. Let us reach out to City of Reno Community Services and see if that what the feasibility was proposed of that development plan.
Dale, I'll just add, that is a great idea. We did something very similar at Ranchera. So when we did the Ranchera PUD, rather than have the bikes and walkers continue down McCarran and then down Kitsky to the roundabout, what I requested that they do at Ranchera, and they did it, was to put in a trail along the lake ditch so people could enter that space off Lakeside near the school, Huffaker School, and get on a trail and take that trail all the way to Del Monte Lane and avoid all of the McCarran, Kitsky, Neal, roundabout, all of it, and cut behind. And this would be, I mean, brilliant. This would be a very similar approach.
That's awesome.
Yeah, let's work with our partners at City of Reno.
Super. Okay, let's keep moving. We do have somebody that's in queue. If the team could bring that person in right now, we will take your live question. Krill, can you hear us? If you can hear me, if you take yourself off mute, please.
Yeah, I have. I go by Kai. I do want to stay on the topic really briefly. Thanks, Phil and Valerie, for your concerns about micromodal and other transportation. I think what we wanted to do was impress upon the RTC from the Truckee Meadows Bicycle Alliance perspective is that you've got your micromodal strategy that was presented in March, and that any road that's got speeds of over 25 miles per hour, it's recommended to have some sort of separation, and it can be a buffer or plastic pylons. It doesn't have to be huge, but it would be a great opportunity to just take, 6 inches is all that we're asking for, and put some plastic pylons out there just to make people feel safer, and also provide a visual barrier that's beyond just a line. That can make a huge difference. And so encouraging the RTC and the city of Reno to really follow those federal and local recommendations, and our have you looked at those plastic pylons and considered that, and can we fit in 6 inches there?
Hi, Dale Keller here. That's a very good recommendation we'll have to consider and look into a little bit further. At this time, we have not taken a look into the pylons, and I'm assuming that's on between the travel lane and the bike lane. Is that correct?
It's right where the little white line would be. I've seen on McCarran that there's tons of plastic pylons protecting the concrete, and we could use some of those on bike lanes, and I think that would be a good start.
Yeah, thank you for that comment, Kai. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Super.
Thanks for having the meeting. It's good.
Yeah. Kai, thanks so much. Thanks for being here. Okay. We have a lot of questions in the room, in our virtual room, related to the quick stop. So controlling the entrance onto Steamboat, will there be a right turn onto Veterans only? So let's talk about that.
Sure. And,
Yes.
and I might go ahead, Andrew. I'll let you start.
no,
And
go
I know
ahead.
we have, just real fast, I know we have Kurt Dietrich, the city traffic engineer, on the call as well. Maybe can help answer on the development review side as well.
Yeah,
So go
so
ahead,
right now, as the plans goes, when we're coordinating with the gas station, is along, there'll be 2 driveways, one along Steamboat and one on Veterans Parkway. Right now, it will be only a right in and a right out for the 2 driveways.
Did that answer the question, Erica? Did we cover that, do you believe?
I think so. I think I would just
Okay.
ask if we have not answered that in total, Mark or whomever else is asking that, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand, we'll bring you in. But if you could just say it one more time, Andrew, please.
Sure. So right now, we're coordinating with the developers with the gas station, and right now, looking at their plans, there's going to be 2 driveways, one on Steamboat and one on Veterans Parkway. So the plan is right now, the current configuration is to be a right in and right out only with those 2 driveways.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Can you say that again, Andrew? Did you say right into the quick stop or the Winner's Corner, and then
Yes.
a right out? So you can only go on Steamboat, you could only go in, and
Yes.
you could only go out on Veterans going south.
No, so you can make a right out on Steamboat as well as on Veterans.
Right. Okay. So you could come in and out on Steamboat, but just out on Veterans, or in and out on Veterans also.
Yeah, in and out on both driveways.
But you can't take a left. On
You can't
either
take a
one.
left. Yeah, there's going to be a median blocking.
Now, Andrew, can you answer this question for us? Maybe this helps
Yeah.
allude to that stop. Now, if you're going northbound on Veteran, are you able to make a U-turn at that movement, northbound U-turn?
We would have to modify the traffic operations, but that's something we can look into to see if we can do a U-turn at that intersection. I mean, if you're in the most inner side lane, then we would have to make some changes there, but we'll take that in consideration. So I'm gonna write down that comment.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Again, taking upvoted comments first. So if the data that you shared, Andrew, is great on the crashes, but it's from 2020. Is there any way to get more updated data? So just a consideration.
I would have to send a request to NDOT to request any recent data. I'm not aware that they have released anything recent, but I can go ahead and send a request and see if there's anything recent, and I can share that data with you guys.
And typically in general, NDOT's about 2 to 3 years behind when they get the information. They process all the data from the NHP and from the local PD. So they're always a few years behind.
And it was fascinating. They just provided data on veterans that only had 5 crashes in what was that period of time? I think it was 3 years. Or maybe in a year. But anyway, this was 70 in 5 years. So just very close to veterans, but a whole different experience.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so a question related to using stormwater filters. Is this project considering using stormwater filters to filter out pollutants affecting the local watershed? Also, proposed landscaping can be sub-irrigated with stormwater intercept. So what's the consideration? Is RTC considering, excuse me, these holistic and passive techniques?
We haven't considered that yet, but I will write down to see if we can consider using those type of filtrations for the stormwater. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that note down so that way we can maybe look into it before we release 90% design plans.
And one thing to add on to, we are using the current City of Reno standards. Everything is the most recent and up-to-date current Reno standards that we'll be implementing. Regarding the irrigation for the landscape areas, I am unsure. I'm not sure, Andrew, do you know if they're using treated effluent water at this time? Is it the purple pipe or is it, that's something we can look into. They are using
Yes, the purple, yeah.
Okay, so we'll continue to use the effluent for this area as well.
Okay. A lot of comments here just about the pathways and the open space that's built into this community, of course, that we're all really passionate about. So one more question was wanting to ask to make sure that the underpass will continue to be open to all wetland users. And so.
Yes,
Okay.
we will make sure that underpass is open along Veterans Parkway, even during construction.
Okay. Okay, and will continue to be open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, correct. There's
Okay.
no modifications.
Yeah, but there's no plans to modify that at all.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Let's see. All right. So then there's some questions a bit about speeding. What is this? Do we have speeding? Speeding limits on these, or are there going to be changes?
There's no plans to change the speed limits on the current roadway. The roadway classifications do match the posted speed limit out there. There was a recent speed study that was done on Veterans Parkway, and the 85th percentile or 85% of all drivers out there on Veterans Parkway do match the posted speed limit. So there is no plans to change the current posted speed limit on Steamboat Parkway.
Okay. All right, let's move to some pretty specific questions related to traffic movement. And so let's just make sure that I want to make sure I'm representing the comments correctly. So westbound Steamboat to southbound DeMonte Light is different programming than most lights drivers are used to. Oftentimes it initiates a flashing yellow now and then stays flashing the entire duration for oncoming traffic. It's confusing to drivers. Is this going to be changed?
Say it again, is it the westbound to southbound movement at Steamboat and Veterans?
The westbound Steamboat to southbound DeMonte Light.
Gotcha. So I'm actually in the process with the UNR to retime Steamboat Parkway and the DeMonte Ranch Parkway. So we will go ahead and update the operations where we'll have the left green arrow come on first and then followed by the flashing yellow arrow.
Okay. And that's more in line with what drivers are used to. Is that correct, Andrew?
That is correct. But sometimes we swap it because of operation. In order to move traffic, there has to be like a green band between the two intersections. So we may have to change the operation of the left arrow so that way we can maintain flow going through the intersection.
Got it. Okay. There's some commentary related to the noise of big rigs and big trucks going over the Steamboat Creek Bridge, particularly in, really early morning, and it's just really noisy for the neighborhood. So is there any consideration to addressing that?
Maybe I'll take a first crack at this, and
Go
then
ahead.
Andrew and we can maybe discuss further offline with City Arena. I think trucks and other heavy vehicle are really integrated to the daily operations of the business through that South Meadows area and as a region as a whole. So trucks should be expected and allowed and designed for all those types of roadways that we see, the moderate access and high access control facilities, which Steamboat and Veterans Parkway are. Regarding the noise, I think that's we can discuss regarding the limits of the timing of those noise with City Reno. I'm unaware if there's any restrictions at this time. We'll bring that concern up to City Reno staff.
Okay. A couple more questions being upvoted. It appears the lighting was only on the southern edge. Is that correct?
It will be, you mean the ambient lighting along Steamboat?
I believe that's what the questioner is asking, yes.
Gotcha. It will be on both the north and south side.
Okay, awesome.
It does say
and
that
then-
Amber would like to answer that question as well. So if you could call on her.
Oh,
Oh.
Amber's on the RTC team. She's helping us answer or she's answering it in chat.
got
Gotcha.
it.
Yeah, processing it as we go. Another question is, and I'm just going to read it. So if you're able to expand the bike path by the lakes for bikes, it exactly connects to the underpass. Bike riders could then proceed northbound on Veterans without traffic conflict. This individual rides in the area and has never seen that underpass open. It's fenced and closed. So just adding some thoughts to, that's a different underpass than the previous one. So just adding some more thoughts to how multimodal transportation might move around this area. So,
Okay.
all right, let's go back to go ahead, Andrew. Yep.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm just acknowledging it.
Yep. And I see Dale's taking a note, so that's great. Okay, so on Diamante Ranch to Steamboat, what is the far right lane going to? Right now, that right lane merges into left to either turn right or go all the way left to either go straight or turn left. So on Diamante Ranch to Steamboat, what is the far right lane going to go to?
So in the future, there are plans to extend the Monty Ranch Parkway to meet with Rio Wrangler Parkway. So the purpose of that right lane is to allow drivers to continue south if needed.
Or when needed.
When needed, yeah.
Yeah, it's the future compatibility, right? We want to ensure that the improvements that we do have future compatibility when certain roadways get extended.
Okay. And are you building in a right turn only lane that would eventually go into future development? Okay, maybe that's what we just said. Now goes into open land.
Okay.
That's what we just discussed, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. I'm just going to cruise down a little bit more to see if there's other movement or other sort of traffic movement questions. If you go out right on Steamboat, you are not going to be able to go eastbound to Rio Wrangler. That's a question. If you go out right on Steamboat.
Out right on Steamboat to go to Rio Wrangler.
You are not
So you
able
should-
to go eastbound to Rio Wrangler, and that's a question.
Do you mind if you let us know who that question was from,
Yeah.
Erica, so we can read it?
Yep. And Judy, I'm asking your question. So if I'm not asking it correctly, please raise your hand and we'll join you into the conversation. So the question is, I believe, if you go out right on Steamboat, it seems like you're not going to be able to go eastbound to Rio Wrangler.
So
I mean,
the
right
question
now,
maybe,
oh,
yeah,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Maybe Andrew, you want to talk about is, I believe the question is, how do you get from Steamboat down to Rio Wrangler, right? Going home in the evening per se.
Right.
How does that
I
normally
mean,
work?
it will still be the same with the construction project. We'll still maintain that right turn pocket, so that way you can go south towards Rio Wrangler and then make that left to go east on it.
Okay. Say that one
So
more
nothing,
time.
not that right turn is not changing at all
Okay.
from the right turn from Steamboat to go south of Veterans to get to Rio Wrangler. That's not changing at all.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. I'm just going to ask a few more traffic movement questions. How will the far left turn lanes at Veteran/Steamboat, the Veteran/Steamboat intersection allow for both left turns and U-turns? So will they, or will it just be left turns?
I think we asked this earlier, but we're going to look into to see if we can allow U-turns at that intersection. We will have to change the traffic operation a little bit to make sure that that U-turn is safe to do so without coming into conflict with all the right turners.
Okay. Okay. All right, we've got another upvoted question here.
Mhm.
Not really sure if this team can answer this question, but Ben is saying we've had problems with horse caution signage where roadway construction sign trailers impede flow of traffic for both drivers and bicyclists. Can this be restricted? I've heard multiple cyclists having problems due to these trailers blocking the shoulder and the bike lane. Councilmember Dewar, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So what it was we were temporarily putting in flashing yellow signs when horses were very present to alert drivers. Unfortunately, they had to go in the bike lanes, which was very dangerous because it meant bikers had to swing into the drive lanes. So what our staff did was they put in permanent yellow flashing signs. Now, what I don't know, and we have Kurt Dietrich and Khalil Wilson on here, is whether those go on and off at different times of the year or they're always on. And I'm hoping the answer is they can go on and off, because if they're always on, then people don't pay attention.
Yeah, currently the signs are 24/7, but we do have the ability to turn them on and off. So as we gather additional input from the wild horse community, we can actually set them, I believe, by time of day. So that's a capability that we do have.
Yeah, so Ben, to my knowledge, those we're generally not going to be using those flashing yellow trailers that block traffic, but there might be a time they need to be used during construction, heavy horse usage, that kind of thing. But it shouldn't be a regular thing.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to go back to the one that had us head scratching. Judy's got a clarifying question here, or clarifying comment. She was asking about eastbound. So if I go to Winners and then I want to go east on Steamboat, how do I do that?
Oh, if you go to the gas station, you can still
Yeah.
make the right out onto Steamboat to go east on the north side. So if you can see my cursor right here, okay, maybe I can zoom into this. So here's going to be the new driveway right here, right? So it's going to be a right in and a right out. So you can continue going east on Steamboat.
So Andrew, what I'm worried about there is that it's such a short distance that if a person wants to go into that middle lane to go straight, they're going to have to cross across the people turning right. And, you know, it could cause some congestion right there.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a great question from Judy and a great point from the councilwoman. Is that something we'll have to look with our access management guidelines to ensure what type of stripe we put there for that turn pocket, if it's going to be that solid white line, if it's too close to the intersection, or if there's further enough distance away to legally and safely make that turn. So we'll have to look into that during our final design. If it's too close and it's not safe to make, we'll make sure that stripe is a solid white line. So forcing to make that, you'd have to turn right, but we need to look in that a little bit closer.
Okay. Okay. Yep, so I'm just looking at the other questions that are here as well. So let's just kind of make sure. Mark, I think we addressed your questions. If not, raise your hand and we'll bring you in. And then there's just a question about who is responsible for sound wall barriers. Kind of a general question about sound. Yeah.
I'll address that. So part of the policy of the RTC, anytime we do a road widening project, is something that we would consider. In this case, as we look into the type of facility for medium access control, we have to understand where it is appropriate. Since we're not widening any main line on Veterans Parkway adjacent to homes, that wouldn't necessarily condition or create a need for an additional sound barrier. When we look at commercial sites, typically noise barriers are not needed at that location. Actually, the visibility between those commercial sites are wanted and not a wall restricted there. So that's something we do take in consideration every time we look at capacity projects.
Okay.
And
Now,
be
I
clear,
want to point out, I
Hey,
want
I'm
to
sorry,
point
this-
out to the folks that when the questions go away, they're over in a column called dismissed, but you can still see them. And there's another column called answered, and there's some called open. So I didn't realize that myself. I just saw the questions going away, but you can still find them.
And to be clear, we're not proposing any sound barriers with this Steamboat project.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dale. So they would be, sound barriers would be part of a project if that was part of the consideration and in the design.
Correct. And especially when you take a look at it, there's different sound indicators that make sound walls and sound barriers appropriate. Residential areas are one, since we're not widening on Veterans Parkway or widening by a commercial site, sound wall barriers are not needed at this location.
Okay. So I'm going to take two more questions that are here, and then I think we'll probably wrap it up, just making sure everybody can get to their families tonight. So there was just a comment from Garth related to the fact that there's mature trees on Steamboat Parkway, and they're impeding the ability to see the westbound traffic. So just the city should consider working with a landscape company to make sure those trees are trimmed so we can see the signals. So that's just a comment. And then there's a couple comments here in relation to a question in terms of whether the flashing yellow arrows will be turned off at the intersection of Veterans and Steamboat.
So I can answer this one. So was it by Judy? So I'm actually in the process of retiming Steamboat Parkway with UNR. So what we're thinking of doing is for the east to north movement, we do realize that there's a lot of traffic during the peak hours, and it's pretty dangerous to make the left turns during the flashing yellow operations. So during the peak hours, we're going to prohibit cars from making that left, but outside those hours, we'll still have the flashing yellows on. But on the west to south movement, we realized that there is like a sight distance and there's like a curve that could be pretty dangerous. So our proposal on our new timing is we're gonna make it so that the permissive or the flashing yellow lefts are not on during the daytime, but during the nighttime when there's no traffic, we'll keep those back on. And we'll anticipate to do that after the construction project is over. We'll still have that same configuration. But just an FYI, on the north and the south left turns, those flashing yellow arrows will be removed and go to a protected only operation without those flashing yellows.
Got it. Okay. And then just, there's a couple questions here that are not part of the scope of this, so we'll make sure that those get addressed. Well, yeah, let's pause that for just a minute. Some other comments too about the fact that the signals are timed nicely with Veterans and South Meadows. Be kind of cool if that also occurred for Steamboat and Veterans. So that's just some kudos, and let's apply that to Steamboat and Veterans. And then also just some concerns about the picture that's on the screen right now in relation to winter's traffic and you know, leaving and the only way you can go is right, and concerns about cutting across those lanes of traffic. So definitely some points still related to that. So I'm not sure where you want to go with that, Dale and Andrew.
And this one was related to the Jeff's question in particular. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
related to the quick stop and
yeah.
and winners and only being able to turn right.
Sure, and I think the questions brought up a very legitimate concern that we need to look into further and work with City of Reno traffic to ensure that we have a safe and legal movement, especially on that Steamboat driveway there. So we'll look in that a little bit further.
Okay. Okay.
And Jeff's question, I think we still have open regarding I-580 exit the Monte Ranch. That's something that as Andrew looks into signal time, he'll look into see if we can address that concerns of the traffic trying to get to Double R. So that's part of what Andrew does on his retiming of the Monte Ranch and Steamboat Parkway there.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. A few more questions popping up. I just want to comment, the start to finish on this project is really, say it one more time, everybody. So it will start in the fall of this year and end in the fall of next year. Is that correct?
No, we're anticipating to start next spring. So spring 2023 and finish by fall of 2023. But like I mentioned, the schedule is tentative and can change.
Yeah, we're looking to really consolidate our construction impacts and the cones, the orange cones that everybody's lived by. So we feel that we can just really consolidate everything in one construction season so that we have the most efficient and project we can to get in and out of everybody's hair as fast as possible.
I had been asked several times about how the construction would be managed, so that's a great answer. So what you're doing is pushing back the start time, because when you're at the NAB, you said you would start in fall of 2022, but now spring of 2023. And that's
Correct.
why it sounds like.
Yep. That's why, and that's something as we look into is how do we most efficient deliver our projects? We don't want to get started and have to shut down for winter shutdown and have cones in the road or have different traffic control and everybody's yelling, why is this project still under construction? So we feel we can best efficiently and get a best price by doing all one condensed construction season.
Okay. 3 people are asking about, I'm going to take this one as the last one, and then we're going to wrap it up. Are there any future plans to eliminate the Veterans Roundabout at Maverick gas station and make that into a traffic signal?
Very good question. I know that's outside of what we're talking here tonight, but part of the South Meadows multimodal transportation study, we identified that as a traffic issue. In addition, NDOT actually just is finalizing the Mount Rose corridor study, which identified different solutions and improvements for that roundabout as well. So more to come on that one. There's definitely need, and we're looking as a RTC, how do we address that current traffic congestion that we see at that roundabout?
Okay. So, certainly in summary, I think there's some feedback for sure on the movement in and out of quick stop winners, et cetera, as well as thinking about just the movement of bicycles and pedestrians in this area, and some cool ideas, by the way. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And some concerns about sound. So just to make sure that we summarize some of those points. Andrew, if you wouldn't mind allowing me to screen share, I do want to make sure that I put up on the screen how folks can stay informed related to this project. And then Councilmember Dewar, I know you have some closing comments to make.
Sure.
So just really quickly, it sounds like when we're putting our notes together, there will be another informational meeting in the fall. That's correct, right, Dale and Andrew?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Please sign up for the newsletter at rtcwashoe.com. And then you can see right here to stay informed about this project is the link specifically. I'm going to highlight it. Just make a note of that, and you'll get all the information you can stay informed about as this project progresses. So with that, Councilmember Dewar, closing comments?
Sure. Do you want to close this screen share?
I will. Just wanted to make sure that people got that link.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And maybe we can, what I was going to suggest is like with our horse meetings, we have everyone that attended the Zoom, there's an email, and maybe we could automatically add them to stay updated on the Steamboat project rather than have them do a separate sign up. It's just an idea. Number two, I'm just extremely grateful to both Andrew and Dale for sharing their evening with us. There were so many interesting questions at the NAB, and they agreed to do this as a way to do further outreach. It was extremely successful. We had something close to 75 people, I think, at one point join us. And so that's a whole bunch of people that got questions answered. Number three, on the horses public meeting, I know we're following up with the frequently asked questions and answering these questions on paper so people can have a record of that. And that's a question I have for Dale and Andrew. Is that something you've thought about, or is that something you want to do? Or how would you like to capture this going forward?
Yeah, great question. And part of what we're going to be doing is this video recording will be on that website. And also we'll look and work to talk about frequently asked questions about the project and create that document as well. So please check out our website. Even just go to rtcwashoe.com. It's easy to find our projects and easy to find the project too of Steamboat.
I think this is, one of the first times since that 2020 meeting that you had that was extremely well attended. You brought up 3,000 comments, or excuse me, overall. Just an incredible amount of interest in our roads, especially in South Reno. So many people have moved into that area. So again, I've just got to thank you for making this extra special effort to communicate with the public. I know they really appreciate it. A number of people wrote it into their comments, how grateful they are. So thank you so much to both of you. And to Erica, great facilitation. Thank you.
Dale, anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No, once again, thank you so much. And we're very excited to move this forward to construction. Look for more information on our website. And again, we will reach out this fall, later this winter, so we can provide you the information about our construction timelines. Once again, Andrew's doing a great job. You saw his contact information. He's very accessible. Feel free to reach out to him through an email or give him this call at his office. He'll be happy to meet with you and answer any specific questions. So thank you again for your time this evening, and we appreciate your input.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.